Let me ask you a deep, thought-provoking question. Do you ever play a game and feel like, well, my team really shouldn't have won that at the end? Hello, I am Xarkun, and this is World of Warships Legends. Today we are once again featuring the Tier 7 French Tech Tree Cruiser Chuck the Hammer Martel, also known as Chuck Martin, also known as Charles Martel, one of my very favorite cruisers in the game, and the ship with which I end every stream. The game you're seeing before you, of course, came from my most recent stream on Friday, so some of you are probably familiar with the outcome, but some of you probably aren't. If you were there for that particular stream, then you'll know that I did a little bit of in-game analysis near the end of this match, and I wanted to watch it back and do a commentary to see if my analysis was correct at the time, because frankly, when you're in the middle of a live stream, trying to play a game, trying to play it well, and also keeping an eye on the chat and trying to interact with that, well, you can miss some things, right? So it's always a good idea to go back and watch the gameplay and make sure you were right about what you thought was going on in the game. And this doesn't even have to apply to YouTube content creators for World of Warships Legends or anything like that. Just normal players who have no interest in creating content at all. I highly encourage you, if you have a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5, to make use of that excellent share button feature that both consoles have. You can adjust your settings with that share button so that when you press it, you can ask the PlayStation to save up to your last 60 or 30 minutes of gameplay. I can't remember what the maximum amount of time is, but either way, using that native feature on the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 5 in order to save the footage of games you just played, that's essentially how I get the footage for almost all of my videos. And it's also good for anybody who might want to review their own performance in a game in order to, try to get better. So, anyway, what are we looking at here with this game? Well, I've spawned near the Charlie flank, and you can see I've come out here to support the friendly battleship and destroyer who are pushing the Charlie cap. Meanwhile, the entire rest of my team, and I mean this literally with zero exaggeration or hyperbole, has gone to the Alpha Cap. Now, they've taken the Alpha Cap, or at least that Kleber on that side of the map took the Alpha Cap, but you can see that there is a red cruiser inside Bravo unopposed, and the Charlie Cap is slowly starting to turn red. Now, the reason for the Charlie Cap slowly turning red is because the enemy team has sent both of their destroyers to this cap. Not a good move, of course. I always advise not putting two destroyers into one cap at the start of the game. Destroyers are much more valuable when they spread out. They are the eyes and the ears of the team, so it's a bit of a misposition on the part of the red team, but I think the mispositioning on my team is by far more egregious. Again, I direct your attention up to that Alpha Cap, where you can see all of my teammates, aside from the Kleber, who is very close to the Reds, and the battleship in front of me, and the destroyer to the left of me. All of my team is up in that corner by the Alpha Cap, all concentrated into the same area of the map. Friendly battleship goes down right in front of us. We are, of course, not able to capitalize on the momentary spotting of the Shimakaze and take him down. And our Khabarovsk friend is, taking a tour of the archipelagos over there. I have no idea what it was he was trying to accomplish this game. In any case, I am perma-spotted by at least one destroyer, probably two, and there is at least one battleship and a cruiser out in this area of the map that I can't see. So it's impossible for me to push in this situation. Instead, the best thing for me to do is sail back toward my team, even if it means the enemy is going to take the Charlie cap, which obviously they are, with no ships over there to oppose them, because once again, that Khabarovsk out there is taking a tour of those 3 little islands. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, my teammates remain in the exact same spot, and the enemy team is basically right in front of them. Now, this is a situation when you've got your teammates like this, like my team is, that another one of my colleagues, maybe you are familiar with him, his name is T-Bull, he calls this the black hole. It's as if a gravitational force has appeared in one of these map grid squares, and that gravitational force pulls all close by blue ships into it so that they lose complete control of the map and so that the enemy can surround them and kill them. Of course, that's not going to happen in this game, but it should have. The Reds are actually going to end up losing despite the terrible positioning of my team. And let's just make it really clear why their positioning is terrible. Note that the Reds have 2 out of 3 caps, right? Bravo and Charlie. And because my entire team is concentrated in the corner of the map, there is no ship in position to even contest one of these red caps at all. In other words, the Reds have a cap majority with no contest. There is no threat to these caps. The only ship in any kind of position to do anything about these caps is me. And obviously, I can't push into the caps. My concealment is, 10, 11 kilometers by sea? There are destroyers out here. They'll spot me, and that is going to mean their teammates can shoot at me. And as a cruiser with relatively squishy armor, I'm not going to be able to get into a cap and take it. The only thing I can do is run away and provide supporting fire for my team, which is, of course, what I'm doing. Now, the enemy, unfortunately for them, appears to have suicided themselves into my team here. And I think that is due mostly to the efforts of the single Kleber. In fact, the Kleber, you can see him just sort of northwest of the Alpha Cap on the minimap. I believe he torpedoed the very first enemy battleship to go down, and I suspect he's probably responsible, if not directly, then indirectly, for all of the other sinkings that have occurred on the enemy team, simply because the Kleber is such a strong destroyer, and probably that guy is a pretty good player. So I don't think my team would have won this game without his efforts. Because he was where he was, things worked out well for us. But the enemy did not need to suicide into that Kleber, and they did not need to push this black hole cluster of spuds over here on the corner of the map near the Alpha Cap at all. When one team captures 2 capture circles, then the onus is on the team without the 2 capture circles to do something about it. Otherwise, most of the time, that team without the majority of caps is going to lose. And all the team that holds the majority of the caps has to do in order to win is play defensively. They don't need to push at all, like the enemy team is doing here. They are pushing. This is a mistake. They don't need to do it. All they need to do is retreat, find a position where they can cover the caps that they hold, and then defend those caps against the push that the blue team, in this case, needs to perform in order to gain an advantage on caps. But instead, thanks in part to the Kleber on my team and the poor decisions of the enemy team here, well, they don't have to do any of that. They've basically suicided themselves into my team, and this is going to be what causes them to lose the game. So, if you are in the position of the red team in a match, if your team has taken 2 out of 3 caps and you see that basically the entire enemy team is concentrated on only one part of the map, meaning they have no ability to even get close to the caps you hold, and no control over the map whatsoever, no ability to send shells down range, and they're vulnerable, clustered up all together. Well, all you have to do is make sure they can't push. You don't need to push into them. All you need to do is defend your caps. That is what the enemy team should have done here, and if they had done that, then they would have almost have certainly won this game. And probably if one of these destroyers, either the Shima or whatever other destroyer there was, if one of them had gone over to Alpha instead of both of them going to Charlie, well, they could have had a destroyer there to counter that Kleber. And if that had happened, then I don't think we actually would have won this game. Again, the Kleber is going to come out top on the leaderboard, and I'm going to come out second, probably mostly due to all of the damage that I've done in this game, especially against legendary tier ships, and I think I sunk both Conquerors or something. And by the way, as this game winds down, I have heard something, and I intend to talk about this maybe tomorrow or in a video very soon about the legendary tier, that there is a problem in legendary tier games. One of the specific problems I've heard is that tier 7 cruisers just don't stand up well when they are placed in legendary tier games versus legendary tier ships. And I don't know, look at the game that's playing right in front of you. Does it look like I'm having much of a problem dealing with the legendary ships in this game? Or at least, does it look like if all of these battleships were tier 7, would I have done anything different given the positioning of the friendlies and the enemies in this one? I don't think so. Tier 7 cruisers, by and large, are incredibly strong. They up-tier very well against even legendary tier battleships, and if you're finding that you have a problem versus legendary tier battleships in your tier 7 cruiser, it probably has a lot more to do with positioning and a lot less to do with how strong the legendary tier battleships are. Just throwing that out there, but I do intend to talk about the problems related to legendary tier sometime soon. In any case, the only ship left alive on the red team is one of the destroyers, not the Shima. I think the Shima died, but the other destroyer that followed the Shima to the Charlie cap. No clue where that guy is. I don't even know if we're going to find him. But I think the moral of the story here, well, I guess there are torpedoes incoming. I guess the moral of the story here is that I was, in fact, correct in my analysis. Just based purely on positioning, my team had every single disadvantage in this game. This game was the enemy team's game to throw, and they did throw it, in part because they sent both of their destroyers to the same spot of the map, and in part because the Reds near the Alpha cap chose to push into my team rather than kiting away and playing defensively, holding on to the 2 caps that they got in the start of the game. As the mighty Jingles always says, if you're winning, there is no need to win harder. And of course, attempting to win harder is likely to result in a loss. So, if you hold 2 out of the 3 caps and the ship counts are basically even, then you are winning and you do not need to push. You just need to defend the territory you have acquired. And that, if anything, is the moral of this video. And let us see if we can't put this poor, mostly dead Gearing out of his misery, take him out of this match, and end before the timer has to reach 0, because I'm sure he is fairly unhappy with the results that his team had here. Although, I think this Gearing is actually going to get away, and nobody is going to sink him, so whatever, good on him, but perhaps next time, if you see a Shimakaze going for the Charlie cap, perhaps next time, go for the Alpha one and counter the Kleber that might be there wrecking your team. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about my analysis of this game in the comments section. Do you think I was correct? Do you think I was incorrect? Let me know. Give the video a thumbs up too, and consider subscribing if you haven't already done that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.